are so many different options to help you keep dry when you're being active. But this video is going to go through each of them in turn, explain the pros and cons, and help you work out what might suit you best. I've pared things back for a moment to make it clearer. Broadly, we've got 3 different options that you could be considering. We've got disposable pads, which come either as liners, generally in boxes, for lighter leakage, and folded up pads that you can open out that come in bags for heavier leakage, and they get thicker and longer as you go up the ranges. Or you've got disposable pants, which are going to give you all-round coverage, front and back, with more protection against leakage from the sides, and a snug fit that you wear instead of your normal pants. And the third option is washable, reusable knickers. These have a reinforced gusset that can absorb moisture and bladder leakage, but these can go in your washing machine and be washed just like your normal knickers, so you don't need to use anything else at the same time. We're going to take them one by one, look at the pros and cons, give you some ideas of what you might be looking for in each category. I am first and foremost a physiotherapist, so before we do anything more about pads and pants, I do want to encourage you to make sure that you have looked into what you could be doing to change this problem permanently and resolve it. Pelvic floor muscle training, especially if supervised by a physiotherapist and after you've had a personal one-to-one assessment where someone's checked your pelvic floor and what you're doing, can cure incontinence in up to 88% of women. So make yourself feel safe and happy, but also sort this problem out. You'll find lots of videos on my website about how to do pelvic floor muscle exercises correctly and all the other things that you could work on, like fluid management, caring for your bowel, that will help your bladder leakage problem to get better. Let's talk about the pads and liners. So the first thing to know is that the pads designed for periods and menstruation are not the same as the pads for bladder leakage. Both fields have had an amazing improvement in technology over the years. You see it clearly in babies' nappies, how much more they can hold while still being secure and thin and not smelling. And all that same technology has been applied to female and male incontinence products as well. Most products will come in either a box or a bag. Boxes tend to hold the liners for the lighter leakage, so that would be the kind of leakage you might get if you cough or sneeze, pick up something heavy, or suddenly move. If you could see it, it would be a couple of tablespoons, 6 teaspoons. It would make your knickers very wet, but it probably wouldn't come through onto your outer clothes. That's going to be safely managed by using a liner. If your bladder could leak a lot more than that, or you're going to do sport for say like an hour of running or playing with the children or being on your feet and out with friends, then those teaspoons will start to add up and a liner wouldn't be able to cope. You would then need to look at something that comes in a bag because they have more absorbency. They come folded up, but when you spread them out, they're thicker and longer. In the UK, you're going to find several well-known brands like Tenor, Always, Attens and Poise. Then the supermarkets have their own ranges as well. Boots Stay Dry and Sainsbury's called Comfort. And then we have 2 smaller brands, Cottons and Naturacare, that are trying to produce incontinence products with a more environmentally aware choice of materials and trying to avoid the use of parabens and bleaching processes. So if you have sensitive skin or these issues are important to you, you'll want to look at those brands. Couple of tips with using disposable pads. First, think about where you're going to position them inside the gusset of your knickers. Lifetime of putting things in the right place for periods But remember that the bladder tube, the urethra, comes out a bit further forward underneath the pubic bone. So you might need to position the pad a little bit further forward in your gusset. If you're worried about bladder leakage and bowel leakage at the same time, you're definitely going to want to choose one of the long products so you can get the coverage front and back. If you're using a pad that's come folded up, a nice trick a nurse showed me is to take it out of its packaging and then fold it lengthways, more like a boat, so you get a good crease down the middle. And then when you've got it in your knickers, there's a bit more air between you and the pad, which I think is really nice for your skin. But also there's more time for the liquid to be absorbed before it might run off the edges because of the gully that you've created. The advantage of disposable pads is that if they get wet, you can easily remove one and put another one in its place. You can use those nappy change bags to fold it up and discreetly chuck it in a bin or store it in your handbag. You can wear pads with your normal knickers, so you can feel like on the outside that you look exactly the same as normal, but your pad's there to keep you dry. In the scheme of the products available, they're relatively cheap per use, but if you're using them a lot, it's going to get expensive to need them all the time. My concern with pads is that they are right up close to the vulva and they can rub on the urethra itself. And if you've got any sensitivity to the things that are in them, or just the rubbing, sometimes it can irritate your bladder. The pad can irritate your bladder, making the whole problem worse. And lots of people worry about a visible panty line at the back, especially if you're using one of the thicker pads. You can feel very self-conscious about that rubbing feeling around the seams. Even though you could use a thick pad in order to leave it in for longer, I would rather recommend that you're still changing pads quite regularly so that there is no dampness left against your skin. Urine can really irritate and erode skin very quickly, so staying fresh is important. There's a fairly consistent system for deciding how much a pad can use. The boxes or bags will have some kind of drip system. I'll find you one that's quite obvious. Well, they'll either give you their range on the side, like this one does, showing you the lightest through to the heaviest, or they'll have a drip system on the side with one drip meaning there for the lightest leakage and 4 for the heaviest. There's not a lot of difference between them at each level, so these are all one of each out of my boxes here of the liners, and you can see that they are slightly longer and wider, different brands, but they will all hold more or less the same amount. Most of the big brands will send you a sample, so if you go on their website you can order a little selection of things to get you started, give you a rough idea of what will suit you. On my website, supportingmums.com, you'll find a field guide which I try to keep up to date with the UK details of what you might find at the moment on the market. These are a couple of examples of disposable pants. You can also get them in black and a variety of patterns and frills and embellishments to make them look pretty. I know your heart's going to sink at the idea of these because try as they might with their marketing to say that they look like normal pants, we know they don't. But they do have a big advantage if you are going to be doing some kind of sport where there's going to be a lot of movement in different directions. I'm particularly thinking of something like an aerobics class where you're going to be standing up, lying on the floor, turning one way, turning the other. Or if you want to get out and just play with the kids on the trampoline and run around madly and tumble and not think. Or if your bladder could leak quite a lot, so more than a couple of tablespoons, like a yogurt pot or a cup, then these would probably keep you feeling safer, even if you didn't really like the look of them when you put them on. This is because the absorbent comes from right at the front all the way around the back and right out to the edges, and they've got these little frills to help prevent leakage out the side. So though I know no one's going to rush to want to wear these, they might have their place at some points in your day or in your life. My trick, I suppose, is wear a pair of what I call PE pants or Bridget Jones knickers over the top, so that at least when you look in the mirror, you don't see these, you see your own pants on top. I think that helps a bit with your confidence and about what might peek out at the top of your jeans, and just how you feel about yourself. But if this is your problem and you need these, then you need to see a physiotherapist. We can help. So there's a big selection in this category now, from soft and silky, different colours, to cottons, like your good old M&S knicker, and even lace. There are some that are designed just for a few teaspoons of leakage, rather like the liners, but will feel like you're wearing normal knickers and without that rubbing along the back seam that you might get with a pad. You can strip them off when you strip your clothes off and pop them in the washing machine. Or there are thicker gusset ones that can hold up to 160 ml, which would leave you feeling safe for a lot longer of exercise, or if you've got a bladder that can empty itself without warning. You wouldn't need to wear a pad inside these hold the liquid. The advantages are that you're not going to have a bleached product up close to the vulva, which could cause irritation. Obviously great for the environment, but also nice for feeling confident in yourself that you're wearing something that feels more like normal underwear. The disadvantage is that if they get wet, you've got to change the whole knicker to freshen up. So might not be so great if you're out and about without easy access to a changing room, but would be great for sport or gym, or if you need to wear something just in case and don't want to have a liner in all the time. Keep a bit fresher for the skin. Again, on my website, supportedmums.com, I've got more detail about the different ranges, how they can be washed, how much they hold, to help you making a choice that will suit you. We've also got some articles about how to do your pelvic floor exercises correctly, how to look after your skin, how much you should drink in a day, and when should you have a wee. So please do come over, have a look, browse my other videos, and don't hesitate to send me an email if you'd like more advice.